So who's doing the intro?
Well, if we want to spend an hour, it's going to be you.
So go ahead.
No, Billy, go.
What, just welcome back to episode 26?
26, yeah.
Okay. Welcome back to another episode of Shots Fired Podcast. I think this is episode number 26.
26, yeah.
26, so.
That was good, dude. That was a really good, solid intro.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I practiced at home.
Mark.
Sit in front of the mirror and just read it.
Just so you know, I had full confidence that you would have zero problems doing this.
I'll say this. I am not doing it anymore. So as long as we're clear about that, you two can figure that out.
Hey, 49, shots fired.
Copy additional shot fired.
Shots fired, shots fired. You're shooting at us.
Suspect shooting an officer.
Face down. He's at the base of the stairs. White t-shirt, white male.
Coming to you from Northern California.
Negative, that's confirmed. That's just
This is the Shots Fired Podcast.
back on that town property case, movie 76.
With your hosts, Sergeant Kyle Schoberg, retired police officer Mark Redlich, and Deputy Billy. We are America's leading law enforcement resource for training and tactics from experts in the industry. Here are your hosts.
Today's
Can you not touch my phone, please?
Yeah, sorry.
Thank you.
I don't want to go off though while we're doing this show. Anyways, today we're actually going to talk about
Hold on. I like how you started the show and then he just tried to hijack it.
yeah.
Oh, that's fine. I'm good with that. I'm used to it.
We got to take the dryness and then like even it out a little bit.
Okay. Okay.
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So
I mean, if you guys have comments, am I the dry one? Because I'd like to hear.
Well, Kyle
Who's the
just
guy?
straight
Who's gonna-
said you were dry and he was the funny one.
hey, that was actually a really good question to get comments because it's going to blow up now.
Good. I want to know who's the dry one.
Yeah.
Who's the lame
It's a
one?
good question. It's a
What?
good question.
Why you got to say?
Who's the lame one?
Why you gotta look at Mark?
I can tell.
Why are you looking at Mark when you say that?
Well, he's
we know.
deflecting. Dry, lame, and self-proclaimed comedian.
Whatever, dude.
We're proud to announce we've partnered with our new sponsor, TACOps. TACOps tactical training conferences and trade shows provide tactical training for patrol, SWAT, TIMS, and corrections. This year's events will host 50 tracks to choose from and a vendor show with over 100 exhibitors showcasing the latest products, technologies, and services. These events have something for everyone, from lecture-based classes and incident debriefs to combative and live fire courses. They also provide instructor certifications in taser, pepper ball, distraction devices, impact munitions, OC chemical munition, and an AR-15 armor course. In addition to the great training value, they host networking functions with entertainment and some great food and drinks. The events for 2022 are listed in the description. Please check out their websites, swatconference.org.
What are we talking about today?
Okay, so
I mean, I'm definitely the biggest asshole.
that's true. Like, so one thing that really pisses me off about Billy is
Just one?
well, there's several, but the one thing that really pisses me off is trying to like communicate with him like via cell phone.
It doesn't work.
Like today when I was telling you guys, when I was trying to group text you guys and like, he doesn't respond and it's just really annoying. And then like an hour later, maybe he'll get back to you. And then he just gives you that stupid thumbs up emoji. that
I do find humor in it
hate
every
that.
time.
I hate the thumbs up emoji.
Well, full disclosure, he hates the thumbs up.
Yeah, so you do it.
So I do it.
Yeah, and
if
it's
he
funny.
never told me that,
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't use it as much.
Well, 90% of the time he just doesn't text back. And so, but the thing is, I know he reads the messages. So it's just annoying.
What about that? Wasn't there a text where you were giving me some shit and I was like, well, we can just go back to the old way of me not texting back?
Yeah, that was
Didn't I
true.
text you that?
And I was like, you know what? Forget it. I
And then you
it's-
said something else and I stopped texting you back.
It's a no-win situation. And today, like, we're trying to organize this, and then, like, I'm texting both of you guys, and neither one of you are texting back, and then I was just getting really annoyed. Like, you're just as guilty.
I have stuff I have to do. I'm not.
I mean, we work
Yeah.
like normal work days.
I guess.
Like every day that we do these podcasts, Mark and I have been at work before it.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Kyle has not.
to my defense, I
For
work-
days. For
No,
days
no.
For
sometimes.
days, he has.
Not true. I work the night before, sleep 3 hours, get all this set up, and then
So
roll
you're
into this. So
you're
I
well
have
rested,
a severe
ready
lack
to
of sleep
go.
going into this. So
Well, we switched it to Friday.
so we're even. Yeah,
We switched to Fridays.
We did switch our recording days.
So now you have 4 days to prep.
and still we both worked, and he didn't.
Anyways, let's get into it.
You want to shift gears?
Into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, shifting gears.
Shifting gears.
Today we're going to talk about the importance of report writing and documentation on your reports, and maybe share some stories of when we did lackluster reports and then got crucified on the stand in court.
Yes.
Because that has definitely happened to me. Learned some valuable lessons out of that. But report writing is very, very important. You guys all know that. And, lack of certain details in a report could come back and haunt you years later. And so in lawsuits and stuff like that. So we're gonna get into that for the last part. But before we do that, we got some cool questions that we want to ask each other again. Kind of just banter back and forth, see how each other's weeks.
I have a good one.
What's that?
So one of the comments that we got, and we've talked about before, is working out and stuff. So just and I know you guys we've talked about the importance of fitness, but ultimately, what is your workout routine? Like, what's your type of workout?
All right, so we're diving right into the questions.
12-ounce curls.
12-ounce curls.
6-ounce curls.
They get lighter every time.
It's high reps. High reps.
Yeah. So what's our workout?
What's your type of workout? Like, what are you into? Are you lifting weights? Or are you cardio? Or are you a runner?
I'm a weightlifter. I'm not really into the CrossFit thing. I tried it a couple times. It wasn't really my thing. A bunch of my buddies are into it. Yeah, not really my deal. I didn't jump on that bandwagon. I'm just I like to go to the gym, lift weights. And that's, I guess that would be my gym routine. I think I probably hit the gym probably 5 days a week. I try. Hour. I try not to spend more than an hour at the gym. I can't really see why you need to spend more than an hour. Some guys spend 2 hours at the gym. To me, that's kind of a long time, but I get what I need done within an hour. And yeah.
Billy?
So that's,
I've tried CrossFit. I don't follow rules that well, and I'm like a squirrel. Like I get distracted really easily.
I could see the instructor being like, all right, we're going to do 10 burpees. Billy's all, I'm not fucking doing that.
Or like not
I'm tired. I'm going to do 5.
Or not even paying attention during what they talk about.
Yeah.
And then you're like, so what are we doing? And everyone's already doing it.
Yeah. Like, what do you do? Like, was watching people like, oh, that's what I'm supposed to be doing. Okay.
You would get kicked out probably.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, I would definitely get kicked out of a CrossFit gym. But I try and do cardio every time I work out. It's kind of, so I like to mountain bike ride and snowboard and stuff like that on my off time. So I kind of try and focus my workout around things that will help with that kind of stuff. So getting big and bulky is not really my goal. So I'm not a heavy weightlifter. I do weightlifting, but lightweight, high reps. It's kind of and a lot of cardio.
That's one thing I lack in is cardio. I've never been into cardio, and I've been in like foot pursuits, foot chases, whatever. And I'm like,
leg bails.
Yeah, I've gotten those leg bells, and I'm like,
You're that
5
guy
seconds into it, I'm like, nope, just absolutely winded, and I'm like, that's the fastest kid alive. Yeah, not for me.
No.
I'm bad at cardio.
I never lose people on foot pursuits because I just don't call it out if they're going to get away.
You call the ones that you got?
I'll be like if I'm like from me to Mark, I'll be like, foot pursuit.
One time
One in custody.
One time I had this dude run from me from like behind a Walmart, I think, and he like ran into a green belt. I'm like, I'm not chasing this dude. And so I just got on the PA and I'm like, run, Forrest, run. And all these people around me were laughing.
Yeah. I lift weights in the morning and then I do CrossFit at night. So
Really?
I try to do both.
2 a day, huh?
Yeah.
Wow. It
So-
really shows.
I actually met a guy
Yeah.
not that long ago who said he knew you from a CrossFit gym. We'll talk about it later.
Oh, wow.
Actually, that just reminded me of it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And he like
He recognized from our podcast here. He's like, "Oh, you know Mark?" I was like, "I think so. I don't know."
Oh, that's why there's a lot of Marks I've met.
Who?
really?
And he's like, "Yeah, I worked out with him at a podcast or at a CrossFit
CrossFit
gym."
gym? Oh, interesting.
I was like, "Oh."
I have traveled around and hit a couple different ones. It's kind of the
Yeah,
one
he said I
thing.
used to see him.
Yeah.
So maybe
Yeah.
Huh. Small world.
Yeah.
All right. Got another kind of funny one.
All right.
If you were arrested with no explanation, what would your friends and family assume you were arrested for?
Well, that's easy for me.
That's, I don't know.
It'd be drunk and disorderly,
Yeah.
bar fight.
Yeah.
That'd be the easy assumption.
Man.
It would definitely involve
Mine would be-
alcohol and me running my mouth.
Mine would be a fight too.
Yeah.
Beating someone up in a bar.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying beating someone up. I might be getting my ass kicked at the bar.
Oh, no, I'm gonna start it.
Oh, I'm gonna start it, but I might be so belligerent that
Yeah.
I don't know. Mine, probably this. Probably something alcohol related. Like, I mean, fuck. For being honest here, like that's what it would be.
Sleeping, ended up naked out in your front driveway.
Yeah, like
Drunk in public.
I mean,
That's what it would be. Stumbling
I don't
around,
know.
lost.
It would be something that related.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny.
my favorite penal code 647F.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On my 21st birthday, man, we went out. Obviously, all my buddies, took me out to the bar at the strike of midnight. We were going into the bar
And you were a cop at 21.
yeah, I was already
Okay.
a cop. Yeah, and like all the guys that took me to the bar,
He just
they were
got
all
off
cops.
swing shift and
No, we didn't work that day, but like they were all cops and my old agency, and they took me to the bar and man, I got so trashed, and I just remember, like, I don't even remember this. Like, this is what they told me, but I left the bar and found a homeless guy playing a guitar. And I guess my buddies were looking for me, and they come around the corner, and I'm like playing this dude's harmonica
that's
while he's
fucking
playing the
gross.
guitar. And I think back, and I'm like,
You are
holy
a
shit,
transient.
That is so disgusting, dude. I was playing a homeless dude's harmonica.
Do you remember what your first drink was at 21? Not prior, but when you turned 21 when you went to a bar. What can you, Billy?
No, I just,
Oh, I know. Because so I was older than most of my friends.
Uh-huh.
So I turned 21 before most of my friends. And so naturally I hung out with my dad. We went to Reno so that I could gamble. And I remember we went to a brew pub because we didn't go that late at night. And I was sitting there and you order beer. They check my ID and everything. And they're like, oh, yeah, you're 21 today. And I drink my beer and I turn to my dad and go, oh, so this is what beer tastes like. And he goes, shut up.
Oh, that's fine. My first one, when I was 21, the day I turned 21, I walked to a bar next to my house, and my brother and we ordered White Russians. And it was fucking disgusting, dude.
Were you like watching The Big Lebowski before?
I don't know.
Or you like
We had no
the
idea.
other dude came out?
I didn't know what to order at this little dive bar, and the lady's like, well, what about a White Russian? We're like, okay.
what's in a White Russian?
I think it's like
vodka and-
fucking
Kahlua.
and milk or some shit. It was fucking gross.
Kahlua
I don't
is
do
like-
mixed drinks. I'm not into that. I just drink beer. I think mine
Kahlua
was
and
beer.
vodka, actually. That's what I mean, I don't
Yeah, it
think I've
was
ever had
terrible.
a White Russian, but I think it's Kahlua and vodka.
Yeah,
so
pass.
let me ask you this. So you've been to SWAT school. So I remember when I went when I was at SWAT school, like all the guys went out one of the nights, and it's like a 2-week school. And so, it was out of town, and we're at the bar in the hotel, and I'm getting drunk, dude. And like the freaking bartender took advantage of that and like saw what was going on and like and then she starts feeding me these like neon green drinks. And
So Kyle loves apple teenies.
No,
It's an
anytime-
apple martini.
anytime someone starts feeding you like neon colored drinks, like that's when it's time to like call it quits.
Yeah.
I was so hungover the next day. Holy shit.
Well, sweet drinks definitely give me a worse hangover. Like anything
Yeah.
sweet.
Yeah, I'm not-
Like if I was going to drink like margaritas all night, I'm going to have a fucking killer hangover.
Oh, yeah.
What's the worst hangover alcohol? I mean, mine's sweet.
My 21st birthday, hands down, the next day, like my whole family, my parents, everyone wanted to go to Reno. And so, dude, I was so hungover. We drove to Reno. I laid in the back seat and they parked in the parking garage and they gave me a bucket. And I threw up literally the entire day while they were in the casinos, left me in the car. And I was just puking.
They did
all
that on
day
purpose
long.
so you wouldn't hang out with them.
I did not even enjoy my 21st birthday. It was so terrible. That unequivocally was the worst hangover I've ever had.
Mine was, we thought we were going to be cool and get a bunch of Mad Dog, like 50-50 or whatever that shit's called.
Mad Dog. I think it's 2020.
2020, whatever it is. And dude, that just destroyed your head, dude. It was miserable.
So
Disgusting.
yeah. Yeah. I
right.
mean, go ahead.
I got
Sorry, we
one
kinda went
more.
off on a hangover.
One more. So, window seat or aisle?
I'm a window guy.
Yeah.
I think it goes with my my attention span, and I like to I get squirrel like I want to look out the window every once in a while. I'll be that guy who has the blinds down, and we'll be like mid-flight.
So wait, you're the aisle. You're the window seat guy that drops the window so you can't see out.
I
Are we
dropped
talking
it
about an
'cause-
airplane?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I drop the thing usually because it's like it's too bright or it's too
Yeah.
hot. It's usually too hot is why I do it, not too bright. And then like mid-flight, everyone's got their stuff down, and I'll be like, "What's going on?" And I'll poke my head
Shining
on, it's
light
like
comes
it's
in.
fucking clouds.
Beam of light comes in and like people are like, oh.
Yeah. Or I'll be like, "Oh yeah, we're over the desert," and I'll be like, turn to my wife, be like, "Yeah, we're probably about, I'm explaining to her where we're at and everything." She's like, "You have no idea where we're at." I'm like,
Yeah.
But look, there's a lake, and I know that. She's like, "You're an idiot."
That is funny.
For me, shoot, I think aisle. I've been traveling so much this year, and I've always I find myself sitting in the aisle seat.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think I remember-
more leg room.
I think I remember seeing you in the aisle seat.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
No, it was
You
fucked
wanna
up
share
is
that
what
story?
it was. Yeah, I do want to share it. I want to get it out there. I want people to know what you did
But
to
wait,
me.
before, are you an aisle or window guy?
Yeah.
I'm a window guy
Okay.
because I got to lean up against that wall and close my eyes and just zone the fuck out. Like I cannot stand flying. I just.
Do you have like a not like a fear?
Oh,
but
yeah,
like-
there's an
like an
absolute-
anxiety.
total anxiety. I will drink before and I will just don't talk to just let me get on that plane. I close my eyes, just
Share the Oregon. I know where you're going with this, so share the
so
Oregon story.
we go to Oregon, do this training
Recently,
class,
yeah.
and do
This is
you want to tell it?
No. It's pretty funny.
I want to hear both sides to it. Like,
Okay, I'll tell you. So the two of us, you could tell we're pretty amped, like we're just very energetic, happy people, and we're waiting to get on the plane. And in Portland, and there's, they have the rows, they line up and everyone goes by the number, and he is closer to the front than I
so
am.
Southwest is what you're flying.
Yeah, we were flying Southwest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, to start with Southwest, he's like, all right, I'm going to book tickets for this. I'll let you know. I'm like, okay. So he books tickets and I was like, is it first class? And he's like, what are you talking about? I was like, well, dude, I only fly first class. Like, what the fuck am I going to sit like back where everyone else does? And he's like, well, I got these 2 tickets. And so go on and book it for these dates and times. I was like, okay. And then he's like, but we got to fly home this night. And I was like, well, what the fuck? That's like a whole nother day and a half. And he's like, yeah, but I saved $20. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? So I had to take a day off of work.
Your actual work?
My actual work. So I could save $20. So it actually costed me more
It's
money.
Kyle's work schedule that works towards him.
Yes.
And not towards anybody else.
No.
Yeah, if you
Which his schedule to the normal people is very abnormal compared to yours and my schedule.
Yeah. So I was like, oh,
he
cool.
can't work with the normal people is what I like to say.
Yeah.
if you guys haven't figured that out yet, that's your problem. But
I just think it's funny. He saved $20 and it cost me a day's work of wages. So anyway, so we're standing in line and there's a lot of people between us and we're like talking back and forth. Like we were joking, like we got people laughing. Like it was fun. It people had a good time between us. And then he's like, hey, I'll save you a seat next to me while we get on the plane. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I'm not going to really worry about it. I'll just kind of hang out to the side. And I board in the Southwest. Everyone just files in and it's not assigned seating. So it's window and aisle and all the middles are open and it's just fucking awkward. So I'm like poking my head over, looking around. And then I see Kyle smiling huge on an aisle seat with people next to him. And he's like, oh, arms up, like, sorry, I couldn't save you a seat. And I'm like, you fucking kidding me. So
Did you even try?
No.
No, so what happened was
So I had to sit in the middle awkwardly. Like it was just,
Yeah.
I was like, thanks for saving me a seat.
I see him like fucking 10 rows up ahead of me. I see his March as his head like above everybody else in the middle, just scrunched. I was laughing and I was thinking, well, so what happened was like I was going to, and then someone asked to sit there and I froze, dude. I didn't want to say no, so I let him sit down. It's my bad.
Yeah, it was. It fucked me.
But on the way home, we ended up getting to sit next to each other, and he really is scared of flying. Like we hit a little bit of turbulence. I don't even know if I'd.
And he grabbed your hand?
Yeah, he's like clenching the seat, and I look over. I'm like, dude, are you scared? Like, are you good? And he just had this like terrified look on his face, like we're about to crash. And I'm like, what's wrong with you?
It's not. I don't like it.
He looked so
I don't like
scared.
it.
I was like a scared
That's
little
okay.
kid.
I mean, it's
It's
people
just,
have fears.
and there's no
Yeah.
reason
I
for
know
it.
of two of your fears. One is warranted.
Oh yeah, the dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were walking in today, and Kyle pops open the door, and his dog comes running out, and I just see.
Which he's met the dog like 1,000
Yeah,
times now.
and his dog is very nice. Like
Yeah, but it just makes me like, Jesus Christ, there's a dog.
He almost fell onto in my arms. Like,
Yeah.
I wanted you to catch me, Billy.
Mark's impression of coming to my house every week, when Axel goes running out to him, he just goes, he like freezes and like just clenches, and he's just hoping the dog doesn't bite him. And I'm like, dude, you haven't realized by now the dog's
I
not
know,
going to bite you.
but that one is rational at least.
Anyways, sorry, that's
the
pretty funny.
fear of flying is completely irrational and stupid.
It is totally, and I recognize that, and it's fucking stupid. And I'm exhausted after a flight because I'm
We
so
should-
just
oh,
fucking
I tell you
stressed.
what, maybe the next couple episodes we'll like bust the camera out, and I'm just gonna video you coming over, and then like people can get a firsthand account of your reaction every time you come over. I think that'd be pretty funny.
Just seeing the fear and like
Yeah.
torturing Mark.
Every time we come to the studio.
All right, no, seriously, Mark, I have a gift
I'll
for
put the
you.
bite sleeve on behind him.
Oh, that's
You'll
dude.
send Axel
man.
and just watch the poop coming out of his pants.
Shit himself. That would be so funny.
I don't know if that would be fun.
no, it wouldn't.
And I'd be
I
like,
kind of feel bad.
I
after.
would be like, honestly, I don't even know if he was going to go for the bite sleeve or you. Like that was a 50-50.
That's what would make it even funnier.
Yeah.
What's this? What are you talking?
Okay. So actually, I have a gift from Mark that I brought that neither one of you guys know about. It's not in the room.
Oh, we're talking gifts because we'll talk my gift later.
You did have a really good gift.
Go
that's
with
right.
yours first, or should I do mine first?
Yeah, yours is asshole-ish, dude. But
No,
we'll
it's
go
good.
through
I
mine.
like it.
So
It's
Mark, can
creative.
you step out of the studio room here? Go into the door to your right, and there's
Okay.
a bag sitting down.
Restroom?
Actually, let me go grab it, dude. How about I just grab it? Okay, I'm back. I had to run out real quick and grab this gift it was a surprise.
And I had to keep my eyes closed, and I'm apparently not allowed to look to the right.
So this was the only bag that I could find in my house.
Can I look?
Yeah, you know, you can look. now, yeah.
No, the bag is probably the gift.
So this was the only bag that I could find in the house to put it in.
Yeah.
But here, I wanted to give this to you on the show.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
What's the reason for this?
Oh well, you'll know as soon as you see it.
Well, yeah, but you had to have something going on.
You'll know.
Oh my god, that's fucking hilarious.
All right, get rid of the bag.
I like the bag too. It's part of the gift.
No,
I'm
get rid
keeping
of the
it.
bag and show everybody what it is, and then you can explain it.
So for those that are not watching, it's a 1 gallon 50/50 antifreeze coolant.
Billy's like, what is this about?
No, I already know what this is about.
Yeah,
This definitely, and correct me if I'm wrong, has to do with Kyle's choice of vehicle.
it does have to do with this truck.
That's right. So
And by choice, I mean completely, this is a choice at this point.
He keeps making that choice.
Yes,
that one actually looks a lot nicer than the one that you lent me. So, and it was $20.
lent him.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Dang.
So I balled out for you on that. You can go ahead and tell everybody why I wouldn't even call it a gift. It's more of a replacement.
It's funny because I wouldn't have expected that, to be honest. So Kyle kept his other boat in my house for a while.
Again, that goes to the choice that we're talking about. His other boat. So
Yeah.
at some point, he owned 2 boats and one 2004 piece of shit.
Hey, dude.
Avalanche.
Yeah, go ahead.
So it's funny because you know him,
Yeah.
but he bought a second boat and then pulls up to his house and goes, "Oh, I don't have a place to park this other boat." So
Mark does.
but I do. So I was like, just bring it to my house. So he had it at my place for a while, and he's like, I'm going to come get it. I was like, okay. So I met him and backs up, hooks it up, and then drives away. And I get a phone call maybe 4 minutes later. Hey, he's trying to describe where he's at. And I'm like, what's wrong, dude? And he's like, oh, my truck's overheating and I fucking have to pull over. I was
It's an
like,
avalanche. It's hard to even call it a truck.
you're right. It is not a truck. It for
His vehicle.
Yeah, his vehicle.
vehicle's over.
Because we both own trucks, and that's insulting to us. So I'm like, all right, well, what's wrong with it? He's like, well, it's overheating. Can you just come pick me up? And I'm like, all right. So I was expecting to take him, like tow his boat home for him. Mm-hmm. So I was like, well, it's overheating. I have a gallon of 50/50, and I'll get a jug of water, and I'll just take it just so I don't have to waste time picking you up and driving you around. And so I get there, and his coolant is bone dry. Like literally bone dry, nothing in it. Didn't even steam. It didn't even steam because there's no condensation in it.
Allegedly, you gotta make sure that your coolant's filled, dude.
Yeah. What about oil? Do you do oil changes in this vehicle?
I do. Yep. When my oil goes dry,
And the gas light came on.
Yeah, and I checked
Or
the
the oil
dipstick,
light.
and there's no oil in it. It's time to add
4 quarts?
at least 4 quarts of oil, and then
Okay.
that's it. That to me is the oil change.
So that oil filter, as far as you know, since you've bought it, it has not been changed.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So, and I want to make
That is
something clear. What I found kind of fucked up was I'm with my girlfriend and she knows the gig. Like I
She knows that you drive a piece of
I
shit.
know this is going to be
I
funny.
refuse to fucking spend a ton of money on a vehicle. Like my truck runs just good. And if little things pop up here and there, like I'll just fix it. Like I'll spend my money elsewhere. And this guy has to roll up in his $100,000 truck to come help me, dude.
Good.
And I'm like, and he's got other vehicles.
He
know that.
He just threw his balls onto
Yeah.
there. And be like,
And that's
"Look."
it. I was like, dude, you had to roll up in the truck that you never even drive that cost you $100,000.
Hey,
Like
he was offering to tow your boat since yours can't do it.
made me look like
Yeah.
the ultimate asshole.
He's not
dude.
going to tow it in his compact vehicle.
No, well, it's funny because his girlfriend is like, just like stared at me and
She's like, holy shit, Mark, is that your truck? And
yeah,
I'm like, fuck
she's like,
you.
I didn't know you had a badass truck. I'm like, well, I have a couple cars. I actually just never drive this one.
Yeah, it was fucked up. It made me look super bad.
Good.
Anyways.
Good.
So yeah, we threw the coolant in there. Mark gave me his gallon of coolant, and sure shit, it worked. And dude, off I went, towed that thing home. No issue since.
That's funny. I appreciate that.
So let's talk about the
You're
present that I got for Kyle.
Yes.
So,
Yeah. And this was unrehearsed too. Like he didn't know that.
No, it was
And then
well,
I didn't know.
and this too, both.
Yeah,
I
that's
had
what
no
I'm saying.
idea.
So, my texting, we already mentioned it or whatever, but this
Or
guy,
lack of.
Yeah.
this guy wanted to tell me that he had got beer for us, which is like what he does all the time.
It's expected.
It's
Pretty much do
expected.
everything, yeah.
And it's his fucking job.
Yeah. Yeah. it is.
Thanks.
Like that's cool. Like, thanks,
Yeah.
you got us beer. So I replied with, good job doing your job. And I asked him if he wanted a trophy. And I didn't have time to get him a trophy, so I got him a medal.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you can see that. I spent a lot of time on it.
It says, "Good job doing your job." Let me hold it still here.
Yeah.
The greatest thing is that
With a Mopar Cummins.
you made that.
Oh, that's from
Yeah.
an oil filter
Is
box.
for maintenance.
Yeah.
Something that you wouldn't know about, but
Yeah.
it's no big deal. Like you buy oil filters and you change, or you pay somebody to do it. You're kind of the pretty boy.
When Billy gave this to me, I was like, "All right, dickhead."
put it on, Kyle.
No, I'm not gonna put it on. But I was gonna
Why?
throw it. Well, I was gonna throw it in the
that's
trash. Well, I was gonna throw it in the trash, but then I thought, you know what? We should find a listener on the show, and I don't know, figure out who, and mail this to them, and then they have to like pass this on to somebody else that wants to brag about something they did, or you recognize like here.
Well, I think that, like, to our listeners, if you have a partner out there who's
Yes,
proud of
that's a good
doing
idea.
something that they should fucking do,
Yeah.
like, oh, I
Tell us.
arrested this guy. Like, good job, you did your fucking job.
Tell
So
us.
tell us and send us a picture of your trophy that you gave to them.
Yes, I like it.
Instead of, I mean, like, we don't need to send that one because, like, it's kind of means a lot to me at this point.
And it's mine.
And it's yours. You
Okay.
know?
Here, let's hang it up here, dude.
I like it, Bill. That's a
You know,
great
like,
idea.
hey, make your own trophy and, like,
Present it to your
maybe
buddy.
at some point we'll go through these trophies and maybe the best trophy will get some
Hanging on the police sign above you. There.
swag.
Yeah, that's maybe we'll start a new thing, you know?
Yeah.
I think that'd be pretty funny actually. Okay.
So good job doing your job, Kyle.
Moving along.
And we're very proud of you.
Thanks.
You got a participation award, basically.
Okay.
It's funny.
But no, I really want to see the listener thing. I want to see that thing blow up.
I do too,
Like,
actually.
I want to see you guys giving them to your partners. Like,
Yes.
if you can film it, that'd be even better. But if
Like
not,
at least a picture.
yeah, if not, like, yeah, a picture.
Yes.
And a little bit of a story like, hey, this guy was bragging to so-and-so about making an arrest or,
Anything.
yeah, like,
Yeah.
cool.
Like tag it, like post it on social
really
media,
happy
tag us,
for you.
or just send it to us so we can see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, hashtag good job doing your job. We'll start a new hashtag.
Hell yeah.
Yes. Hell yeah.
That's a good idea. Anyways, okay. Mark, you came up with the idea of wanting to talk about the importance of report writing and everything. Let's get into it.
All right, let's talk about the importance of documentation, report writing, and why it's important, because later on when you go to court or a preliminary hearing or a trial years later, it could come back to bite you.
Yes.
And I think we all have different type of stories of getting shredded on the stand during a court testimony.
Yes.
So
I've been crucified. I've been thoroughly embarrassed on the stand.
Yeah.
Like one time specifically that I can think of on the top of my head. It was so bad that I wanted to like throw up a little white flag and be like, okay, I surrender. Like, you got me.
My bad.
Yeah. Like, throw it out.
Innocent.
Yeah.
Just let it go.
Just make it stop. Like, I wish there was like a little white flag as you're sitting on like the stand. You could just like raise it up and they're like, all right, we got him.
Yeah.
And then it's over. But
And
I was getting
dismissed.
crucified, dude. And it was
well,
like
tell us about it then.
I think it was like a DUI arrest or whatever. And I don't know. I was probably fairly new. And obviously there's a lot of documentation into those. But
No idea.
Yeah, Billy, you wouldn't
Yeah,
know.
you wouldn't
And
know,
all you
deputy.
sheriff deputies wouldn't know. But
Thank
nonetheless, I obviously wrote a shitty report. And when I went to court, it showed. And I'm sitting there reading this and I'm thinking, oh, I was like, holy shit, this is terrible. And
Before, or were you like on the stand?
No, before I
Okay.
read it as I'm about to go in the courtroom. And I remember thinking to myself, like, this is pretty shitty, like very vague. I must have been super tired or something when I wrote it. But anyways, yeah, I got in there and I just got crushed by the defense. And I mean, they did a good job. I'll give them that. Like, I felt my body getting hot. My face was getting hot. Like, I felt like I wanted to start sweating. And I seriously wanted to just be like, can we just stop? Like,
Well, I mean, that like beyond report writing, I think that we could do a whole nother episode about courtroom testimony.
Yes.
yeah.
Because I will tell you, is this a jury trial or is this a prelim?
It was just a prelim.
Okay, prelims, they did generally,
Breeze through.
they don't really matter too much. I mean, they do and they don't, but I mean, like,
Maybe it was a jury trial. I don't remember, to be honest with you.
but honestly, in my experience, jury trial, you can sit up there and be like, this is a metal table, as long as you're good at saying it's a metal table, or you can articulate why. We'll see, it's got metal in these nails and everything like that, and you explain that,
Yeah.
and you're good at explaining something to
To
people,
a bunch of random people, yeah.
then you'll do fine. But it's like if you get up there and you're just yes, no, and you're robotic and you're staring at the wrong thing, like courtroom
it doesn't
testimony
look good.
is an art.
Yes,
and I
it is.
actually enjoy. I do somewhat enjoy jury trials.
Yeah.
because
I
of
do
that,
now,
because
yeah.
it's like you get to get up there and you can explain things and tell people things that don't really, for the most part, the jury doesn't understand what you're actually saying.
No. Have you guys ever been in court and like, the defense is going off and, they're crushing you kind of good and like, but going off topic a little bit and you're just sitting there looking at the DA like object, like object to this, say object. And they're just sitting there probably because they're new and they just, whatever, they're taking it. I've been in situations like that where I'm like, I could do your job better than you. Yeah, damn it. Like, say something.
On courtroom testimony, actually, I have a good story. Not me, someone who is a true expert at courtroom testimony, among other things. I won't say his name, but sitting there doing a jury trial, and they would ask him, the defense would ask him, the defense would ask him a question, and every time they would ask him a question, he'd look down at his paper sitting in front of him and answer the question, look up and then answer the question, look down, look up and answer the question. You're not supposed to look at your paperwork, right?
Yeah, it's supposed to
No,
be upside
yeah.
down.
Yeah.
Flipped over.
So the defense attorney said, can it be reflected that the witness here, the officer is referring to his report on every question. And so he goes like this and goes like this, and judge looks over at it, and the paper's upside down on his things. And the judge goes, let it be reflected that the report was upside down and was not readable. And that just goes to show you what it's all. It's about proving, it's about character and, showing that, different things.
It's a game too, right?
It is.
Like
That is the
game.
That's a high risk.
It is,
game
dude,
there.
And
That's not something that you should do.
Yeah.
But in that situation, that person's very good at it, and it worked out very well for them. But
it depends too, though, because you do get the defense that are just assholes.
Oh, for sure.
Disliked cops, and they treat you like shit, regardless of what's happening. And those are the ones where you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
This is different. Like, this is personal when it's not. So, but then you get the ones that are very professional, and then it's how you answer it. It's being professional. But you're right. I think that's a whole.
Yeah, it can be a game sometimes between you on the stand in the defense, and kind of, they want to
always a game.
They want to make you look bad, and so like you kind of want to counter that a little bit. But I've had defense attorneys like come out and talk to me in the hallway and stuff, and they're like, "My client's so stupid," like, but then nonetheless, but they have a job to do, and if they're represented by a public defender or whatever, like they're going to do their job. That's what they're there for. Sometimes they understand that they're working for their client, and they're like, my client is beyond guilty on this. Like, I'm not going to win this for him.
Yeah.
And they don't put a whole lot of effort into the case, but, I think you'll run into the problem like you're talking about, or whatever, like we just shared, is, when you hire someone to defend you, like they're going to pick apart everything you did in your report from A to Z. Like,
but that's their job.
Exactly. And that's their job. And honestly, like, people shouldn't take it personal.
No,
if you write a bad report and you don't put certain details in there, like, dude, that's what they're getting paid to do is pick that apart.
But I would say, I'll be the first to say that like a report should be, it doesn't have to be every detail. It should be something that reminds, it's basically a synopsis that you're going to be like, oh, okay, let me talk about this.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be like, so you didn't write in your report, it didn't happen. Some people say that. That's not
the that's not true at all. They'll say that, but that's, there's a way to answer that.
You're giving a synopsis to the district attorney's office and to them to be like, hey, is there enough to go forward with this? And you can go on about the details of it. Like, you don't like have to say every little thing about it.
Yeah.
But it's always good to have good sometimes. So here in California, I will tell you that some of the cases that we deal with, some of the cases that I definitely deal with now, they'll go to court 2 years later sometimes.
Yeah, I know.
And
especially with COVID.
Yeah. And 2 years, sometimes even more. You can go on, appeals and stuff like that. You can go many years down the road.
Yeah.
So I don't remember a lot of things that happened 5 years ago. I don't remember a lot of things that happened 2 years ago. So that's when it's very important to have good report writing that's going to give you a good recollection of what happened.
Well, especially if you're an agency that does not have body cameras, because body cameras have changed report writing, I think, for sure. But especially
the good and the bad, though.
Yeah, because a lot of people there are people that are getting in trouble for what they're writing when it doesn't match what the camera says.
I would say review your cameras if you have that opportunity.
Oh yeah.
I can't think of an agency that wouldn't allow you to review your
It's stupid that you wouldn't be able to, but because
you could get lazy or tired or it's the end of shift and you're just like, fuck, this is an easy arrest. I'll just write it.
But I mean, like there's plenty of things that you can, like, I will say, like, oh, I pulled something out of someone's left pocket or their left pocket, and on camera it's clearly their right pocket because you weren't thinking about it, or in your mind you thought it was. And that is something that a defense attorney can be like, they're just putting doubt in the jury now. Like, oh, this guy doesn't even know what pocket he pulled it out of. Does he even know what he pulled out of that pocket now?
Yeah. No, that's what they do. Yeah.
So, I mean, if with body worn cameras, it's there, they're going to see it.
Yeah.
So you should be able, and you should review it and be like, oh, you know what? I could have sworn it was his left pocket, but oh well, it's clearly his right pocket.
Yeah.
So you know what you say in court to that? You just say, "Hey, I made a mistake." You never try to cover up. Like, dude,
Yeah.
If you make a mistake, just own it. It's all good. I've done that several times, and it's like, "Hey, I made a mistake, Your Honor." And you know, I've had a judge ask me before, like, "Hey, was that just a simple mistake?" Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on. Like,
It almost deflates the defense by saying and being honest about it.
Sometimes there's defense attorneys out there that are very unprofessional and you know, say things in court where I've seen judges shut them down and they're like, "Hey, like, you're done. Enough with that crap," or I'm going to kick you out of the courtroom.
Have you guys ever done expert testimony?
I never have, no, because I'm not an
you?
expert in anything.
You're not an expert in canine?
Okay, canine, but
Okay. I mean,
I'm just teasing. No, I've never, like, gangs and narcs and stuff, like, no, I'm not.
So, I mean, expert testimonies are different because generally I'm going for experts, which I don't do much anymore. But when I was doing them, you're going to be an expert on a case that you were not involved in. You did nothing.
Right.
You're completely like, usually it's your department or something like that. But I had nothing to do with it. Didn't know anything about it. And you're reviewing the report. You're reviewing someone else's reports. And you're not even, sometimes you talk to them and try and get some things, but you're going off of what you know. And it's not the circumstances of the case. It's what the cases tell you as an expert.
That's a good point.
Which are very subjective at times, and that allows for the defense to kind of get at you a little bit. So you're testifying on, as an expert, you're testifying on another officer's behalf on what they did, or not necessarily what they did, on why it is what it is.
right.
So if it's a sales case,
A sale.
Yeah,
So yeah,
right.
usually it was narcotic sales or manufacturing is what I was going on. And manufacturing is a whole different story. And I freaking to this day hate them. They suck because it's chemistry, science, all kinds of stuff to get involved. And and honestly, I know how to manufacture this stuff and I do have an expertise in it, but man, the person who's manufacturing is more of an expert than me usually because they're actually doing it.
So I learned a lot from when I first started. You get drug sales, whatever it is, and you write the report and you do your best you can to write it as a sales case, as it clearly is.
Yeah.
And then you submit it, and then it goes to trial or even the prelim, which is before trial. And then you go and you talk to the DA, and they're like, okay. And they know, the DAs know when you're brand new, and they're like, okay, well, how many sales cases have you made? And, you know, you'd be like, well, this is like my 6th sales case. So they're like, okay, well, for this, you know, we can make an expert, but it's going to be hard. So we'll call somebody in. Mm-hmm. And then I remember one guy specifically would come in for a lot of the cases, and I picked his brain constantly. And it really dramatically changed how I would write the report.
Right.
Because now I'm realizing like this person's trying to fill gaps that I'm leaving out because I don't know, you know, and then you slowly become to the point where you're like, okay, this is what that person needs. And this is what's there.
I've been called to cases for an expert in narcotics, and I've called the DA and been like, look, I will get on the stand and I will answer your questions. But when it comes down to it, I don't think this is an expert, or I don't think this is a sales case. Or I think it's a very weak sales case, and I think that there's many out, and they're like, well, why do you mean that? And I'll explain to them why. And they'll be like, oh, okay. And usually sometimes I haven't gone to court. I've gone to court on those, and you're just like, okay. Like, and they ask the question and I answer it.
Yeah. It's
now, and I will ask it and answer it. And then you go to the defense, and you just kind of rolling the dice on if the defense goes down a path. And you're not trying to hide anything, because honestly, those are the gray area ones. They could be sales, they could be personal use, and it just goes down this rabbit hole. And you're like, I don't know, like the person had 3 different baggies of whatever drug, and you're like, well, okay, well, they had different baggies, and you're like, yeah, they were a half gram each or a gram each. Like, that's not sales to me.
Yeah.
That's personal use, or could be sales, but that's definitely personal use too.
Yeah, dude, I was on a jury trial once, and it was for a whatever the crime was, resulted in a dog bite. You know, I got a dog apprehension out of it, and man, I got attacked by the defense for the dog bite part of it, and he's showing pictures of the bite wound. It was on the guy's arm. And so he had photos of the bite wound or whatever. And he's like, oh, is this the injuries sustained to my client as a result of your dog biting him? Yes. And he's wanting to make me look bad and make the dog look bad and how vicious this is. And
Mark, stop listening to this. His dog is not.
Yeah, sorry,
I'm like,
Mark.
yeah, agree.
But
Okay.
he got
Headphones,
real dirty. The guy got dirty on me, and as he's showing these photos, he slipped in this photo because it's on the projector, right? So the jury can see it. Mm-hmm. And he had slipped in this photo, which was of a completely different person's arm, just completely mauled apart by God knows what. And he starts flipping through it really quick. And I'm like, whoa. I'm like, that's not even the same photo. That's not even the same person. I'm like, that is not from my dog. I'm like, that's not even the same photo, whatever. And he tried to get a little dirty with it. Luckily I caught it and got to say that, but sometimes, dude, that's just dirty,
Yeah.
I mean, you got to watch out for that shit, because sometimes, they'll throw a freaking zinger at you. And if you're not paying attention and you fall for it, that could be pretty costly.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Well, let's do one on actual court.
Yeah, we kind of moved away from.
Yeah, we did.
But so I wanted to bring up. So report writing is very important, and there's other things that we write out as cops in different systems and everything that aren't our report. Like we have, our computer systems on the call. We have CAD systems usually. I think most people have those nowadays, and I've seen people write all this stuff in a call. Or in the call
CAD
notes
or whatever,
CAD notes and everything, and it's what you should be putting in that. I think is what your partners need to know going forward with the case right now, like what's immediate, what's emergencies, what's officer safety, stuff like that.
100% true.
It's people start putting things in there, just talking to somebody real quick, and then. That aren't pertinent necessarily. Like if you talk to somebody and they say he was wearing orange and it turns out he was wearing red, please put the orange in there because you talked to somebody and that could matter. You don't know at this point what they're wearing. But I mean, other things like I talked to so-and-so and putting in their whole statement on there, and then you put it, and then you do your own statement, and sometimes things changed, something changed. So whatever you put down on paper is discoverable.
Yeah.
Everything's your CAD notes, everything is discoverable, and that defense can pull those up and they can, make your report look like you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So report writing is very important, but other things are also very important, and not writing things down is also very important.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
I have actually something to support that. The CAD call and all that information. When I was working, it was 4th of July, went to this house, reports of fireworks went up. Little kid comes to we go up and knock on the door, kid opens the curtains, and, parents come out, they're all pissed, but it was very obvious they had done the letting off illegal fireworks. And this was years ago when the city
Crime of the century.
Yeah.
You
City
got
was
During the 4th days around here.
But the house itself was a house of interest. So I was like, okay, well, this leads us to a little more. So day or two went by. I was working an overtime shift. My partner and I, we drive by and took the information that we had the night before, ran all that, and then we started running the CAD calls. All the previous times officers had been out to the house, all that stuff. And then we were connecting certain people to that location. And then there was a homicide attempted homicide that had happened out in the front yard. So I was like, okay, well, we're going to go do a probation search. The SWAT team is going to go, not in a SWAT capacity, just the personnel in patrol uniforms, just manpower.
Manpower assist.
Did it, and then found the person sitting in the living room, but we did a protective sweep because of this other intel that we had, and it ended up going to a prelim, and the defense shredded me of why certain things were done, and I went back to the CAD call, and then he's like, well, I want that, and he ended up having that. Yeah. And it took a while for the city to pass that over, but he brought it all. And then it was like, okay, well, this is why. And it was supported.
Well, and I will say from an investigative standpoint, put good information in there, put a lot of information, put phone numbers, put people that are contacted, every person that's contacted, whether you think it means nothing or anything, it could means something a long time down the road. If there's a car that might be associated, add it to it.
Well, yeah, look
put those things in there.
From your perspective, being a detective, I mean, you could look at that from 6 months ago.
6 years ago, I can look at that stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it could matter. It depends. I mean, a lot of people that I deal with are very nomadic, and they're not staying in a place for a long time, but some are.
I think it brings up a good point of like when you're closing out calls or whatever, even if you're not writing a report on it, you should write good CAD notes. And if you have the availability to write CAD notes in your CAD system, like when you're closing out a call, because your partners may go to that call the next day or a week from then or a month or whatever. And like, you know, some people rely on the information. They're going to go back and say, oh, well, we were just out at this house, you know, yesterday or a week ago or a month ago. And they're going to pull up the old CAD calls. And if the most annoying, frustrating thing is like if you pull it up and there's no notes in there, so you have no idea what happened. You don't know who's contacted. Like that's annoying, and that could cause more issues for other people, your partners. You should always close calls out with good notes.
That's a huge officer safety issue too. If there's a guy in there, a girl in there that's dangerous for whatever reason, armed with knives, whatever, or you went there and there was guns everywhere, they were legal, right?
Yeah, no, you're
right? And
dude,
you're like,
right.
or they had swords everywhere. How many times do you see swords? I see swords all the time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's
do
kinda
too.
weird.
Weirdly, you see swords all the time. But like,
Yeah.
put that in the call. Like, you know, no crime. Talk to so and so while talking to him, and there was many swords in the house or something like that.
Yeah, it may
Simple
sound
as
dumb.
that.
It may sound dumb, but it's very important. And
But-
if you're closing out calls, like if you're ending a call and there's a level of importance to it, and you're just like hitting a button to show yourself clear and you're not typing anything, I would say you're doing it wrong and you're setting somebody up for failure in the future. Yeah. So I would take time to do that. But back to the report issue, 100% agree. I don't think reports need to be inundated with information that's just not useful. I've seen some people write a bunch of fluff in reports and they try to use big words. You know, just write candid language and just write out what occurred. You know, I mean,
honestly, you should be writing. What was it told? Like a 6th grade level, I think is what was told to me.
Yeah, exactly. You should.
You shouldn't use big words. You
don't use
need
police jargon.
Yeah, don't use. It's like if
a lame person is reading that report, like someone that doesn't do the job has to be able to read that report and understand what happened.
I mean, for this, you'd be like, this is a wood table with 4 wooden legs on it.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
But some
like, and
people
not even that. Like, I might even just say it was a wood table.
Yeah.
If that's something that matters to the case.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need to be like, it was approximately this by this, unless it matters.
Unless it matters.
Yeah.
But if it
Like,
doesn't,
measurements sometimes matter, but like, you don't need to be like, oh, there was nails on the outside. I saw knots here. Like, if the knots matter, which they could.
Yeah, it could. But if it matters, it matters. But if it doesn't, then you're right. Like, don't put that stuff in a report. Nobody cares. It's just adding fluff to a report. You're creating more work for yourself, but for just everybody else, like, it's just too confusing. So
It was a sunny, glorious day.
yeah.
The temperature was
I've seen that.
I've seen that too.
I'm like, what the fuck?
There has been times where I've asked dispatch to get the temperature, and they get it off the news for the day
I have-
for specific things. You know, like
I've had that.
child endangerment
Yes.
cases. They're
That's-
outside. You know,
That's a big one. Yeah.
or it's super hot and the parents don't have air conditioning and their windows are down.
I'll note
There's an instance for everything that you would need a certain type of information.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Depending on the
that's a good
crime,
point.
what
Depending on
happened.
the crime, there's like where this cup is matters in some cases.
Yes.
You know,
But if it doesn't, then
But
it
if
doesn't.
then
Like,
who fucking cares if there was 3 cups or 10 cups on the table?
Yeah,
But
Exactly.
sometimes it matters.
yeah. That's a good point.
so yeah, just, you know, write it as if, you know, you were going to read it to a friend who's not a cop and they could understand it. And then just don't put a bunch of BS in there.
Well, you're
to
writing
try
it for
to-
the jury is really what you are. So if you're
Yeah.
talking about, you know, you don't need to, I mean, weapons and stuff, you can explain it was this kind of weapon because it was, you know, because of this, but
Yeah, I like it when I see reports that are like, officer so-and-so driving this patrol vehicle, freaking marked with this, wearing a patrol uniform on this day. I'm like, Jesus Christ. Like
that's pertinent though.
That might be impertinent when you're chasing somebody or like
Yeah.
that could be important. But like
Yeah.
you said, like not every report
Yeah.
does that have to be there. Like, don't talk like that. Just
Like
Just-
for me, because I
Christ.
wear plain clothes with a, you know, tack vest and everything. I have to, and I drive an unmarked vehicle. if I'm involved in an enforcement where someone runs, pursuits, stuff like that, I do have to get very detailed
And I
on
totally
my
understand
vehicle.
that. Oh yeah.
I have to get detailed on what I was wearing. You know, I get as much as where my badge is placed on my belt and everything.
You know what?
And those are very important things to some people, or in some cases, where other times it's not.
Yeah.
Like if you're a patrol deputy, you don't need to be like, my badge was affixed to my chest, where every cop has their badge affixed.
Yeah. I had 2 patches on my shoulder
Yeah.
with my city. It's like, okay, whoa, Turbo.
You used to be like, I was in a whatever department uniform.
yeah. The
And
last
I was in a fully marked whatever department patrol vehicle.
Yeah, that could be important, but you know, probably for the vast stuff, it's not. But you know, one thing I would definitely touch on is you should never be altering anybody's report either. Like, especially as a sergeant, or whatever. If you're reading a report, or you're reading your partner's report, and they do something, you're like, that doesn't. You can't go in there and like put something in there that you think should be in there. I see, you know, that sometimes that happens, and you're like, dude, don't do that. You can get in a lot of trouble.
In most report writing systems,
shouldn't even let you.
they usually let the supervisors do it. From what in my experience,
no supervisors, but not other officers.
But there's like a,
It's
I don't know
audited.
what it is, but I don't know what the right word for it is, but you can look back in the system and be like, this port was
it's
edited
audited.
by so and so.
Yeah.
Even if you put a period in there, like it'd be like,
As it should.
and it should,
Because I've been to court where I'm like, I look at a report, I'm like, dude, I didn't write that. And I'm like, my sergeant must have changed it or something to make it look right or whatever. Like, I didn't write that.
Yeah. And they
Don't
should
do
have been
that.
like, hey, you like simply as not putting a period or something as a supervisor, I think that you should be like, hey, I kicked this report back. You just need to put a period right in here and send it back to me.
Yeah,
And
or-
as soon as you send it back, they put a period in, you just hit approve or however your system is.
Or what works for me is I'll call the officer in the office or the cubicle area, and I'll just be like, hey, dude, like sit him down, like, hey, this is kind of wrong. Like, do you mind if I change this, or could we just change this real quick with them sitting there? Like, there's nothing wrong with that, but
Yeah,
to just blindly do that and not tell the person,
Yeah.
like, you shouldn't do that.
Me personally, just because of the digital era and how there's tracking for everything, I would
do
feel
it.
more comfortable about just being like, hey, come in here. Let me tell you what I'm thinking about this. You do what you want to do with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm kicking it back to you. Even if it's, like I said, just a period or something like that, I just don't think that, because when it comes to court, they can pull up that record and be like, this report was edited by
So-and-so.
Sergeant so-and-so. And then they're going to pull Sergeant so-and-so and be like, what'd you edit? You'd be like, I put a period. Okay, thank you.
Well, yeah, that just
but-
opens up worms to
And then it's
what
like,
else have you edited?
So that officer doesn't know how to put a period on something. And it's just,
Yeah.
these
just-
are all things that can be.
Reports are so on the most minuscule things can be so important, even as if you're just writing a supplement report to somebody else's report, and you know, a year or two down the road, a civil lawsuit happens, and like you get brought into it, you know, and if you're lacking stuff, like it is going to come back and haunt you potentially at some point. So just, you know, don't do that. Like I've been to some fatal crashes where like, you know, the officer's like, oh, I really didn't do anything, and they bust out this little weak, supplement. And the next thing you know, like it's going to a deposition for a civil trial, a lawsuit. And they look like idiots because they didn't write shit in their supplement. You may not think you did something, but you know what, that's still important, and on certain investigations, knocking on someone's door and doing a neighborhood canvas and they don't answer. That's important, just as important to put in the report as
Right.
if you took a statement from someone.
That's probably more important, especially if someone's in the house.
Exactly.
I was just going to say that it's something that you think of as not important, and it could be very not important at the time. You could go on days later, and it can matter a lot. During the investigation.
Yeah, totally.
Working from the investigator side, I've seen that where you're like,
I like how you turned your head to burp, but you burped in my face instead of turning the other way. So that was good. But
Well, I think you bring up a good point. Like, you almost need new patrol cops or any agency that's writing reports to kind of shadow some detectives for a little bit and then see like, hey, these are shitty reports and this is why. So you need to fill the gap. Because if you never know, because I think when I first started, I went like a year with everyone just approving my reports, and then they start to back up. And then,
I can tell you, moving forward to the detective side is what I did sometimes as a patrol officer. Like I was like, man, I should have done this. I should have done that. I should have done so many things. And it's hard because, you know, if you're in a smaller department, maybe you have one person or every 6 months going through training, or maybe even one a year. I don't know. Even less maybe. And you probably don't have that many detectives at that point, but it's probably easier to do it. But larger agencies, you have people finalizing training almost daily.
Yeah.
And if not weekly, and then for a large department, it's not like, hey, I'm a detective, so I'm in charge of detecting all crimes. Large departments have so many different areas that people focus on, and they're so different. So you can't run someone through all of them. It would take, it would take 6 months.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. I think, you know, it's just one of those things where like I've seen cops not, you know, get a statement from somebody and they had nothing to say. Like, oh, I didn't hear or see anything. Okay. And then they totally skip that and they don't put it in a report or whatever. Like, you should very much document that they did not hear or see anything, because like as the investigator, when you're going back and reading these reports, you're like, oh, look, Jimmy Smith at this address said that he didn't hear anything. That could become very important later on in the investigation. So, I think little tidbits like that people probably don't think about, you know, until a detective has that conversation with you. Like, hey, dude, like that is just as important putting that as you know, the next door neighbor who did hear and see something.
Yeah. So I know, like for us, if you're dispatched, if you arrive on scene of like a homicide or something major, for us, you are writing paper.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Even if you're like, I arrived on scene and I took a perimeter spot. I did not speak to anybody. Yeah. That's your report.
Yeah, same with us.
And that's the way that it should be.
You almost need, and I know it's not always practical, but some detectives to go to roll calls at times, just to kind of give, hey, this is what we're seeing. We're seeing a pattern of this. You know, this is what we're looking for. This is what we're looking for.
We do that.
So
yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I will say, like, I think it's easier for you guys because you're smaller and you have a detective that's in charge of many things. So let me see. I'm trying to think I think we have 10 different bureaus of detectives at least.
Wow.
So you would have 10 different detectives coming in there. And
but you could kind of get something.
But I mean, like so we send out emails from my division, like, hey, this is what we're seeing and this is what's going on. They go department wide.
Oh, so you're okay. Well, I like that. At least you're communicating.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Whereas like sending a detective over there, and I've gone to roll calls as a detective, but it's usually something very specific that I'm looking for.
Yeah, that's right. But if you are a detective listening to this and you work at an agency where you're able to do that, I would do it. I would make it a point to go to your briefings and have those, you know, what are you looking for in their reports? Or if you're seeing something that's lacking in your officers, then you should probably bring it to their attention and do some training on it. Because I think unless, like you said, dude, unless you've done it, you don't know what they're looking for.
No.
And what you don't know, you don't know. And it's not that it's your fault. It's just you've never been taught otherwise. So I think that's important.
The other thing is if you have something that you're interested in, reach out to someone who is working that or has an expertise in it. You know, like I don't care who you are in my department. Like there's rarely people ever contact me, especially when I was in narcs. You know, there's so many people like, oh, I want to get in narcs. And you know, no one would ever reach out to anybody in narcotics.
I know. Like, I always thought that was weird.
Hey, I want to get into narcs. Every once in a while, someone would say, I want to get into narcs. Be like, cool. Here's what you need to do.
Dude, if you're not doing that, you're crazy. You should for sure be doing that. If you're interested in trying to test for something, if you're not shadowing those people or picking their brain, I'm not sure what's wrong with you, but here's a tip of the day is start doing that.
Yeah. Shadowing people is different. I will say that because I know
pick their brain.
I know that there's a lot of things that, you know, you get into confidential informants and things like that and things, and you don't really need or want somebody who doesn't know the game hanging around. So there's many places that we don't do like ride-alongs, like department ride-alongs. Like not, obviously we don't do civilian ride-alongs.
No, but I mean like if it's canine, SWAT, all that's like go to trainings, like but even if it's detectives and you can't do those things, you should pick their brains for sure and let them know you're interested.
Oh, when I wanted to be on canine, I went to canine training every week. Yeah. And I was catching bites every single week.
Yeah, you told us you got bit in the dick.
Yeah, I got bit in the dick. And then, like you're doing stupid shit in that. Like you're doing stuff that sucks when you're training.
Yeah. Fuck
like you're
yeah,
hiding in a hot car in August so that a dog can come and sniff you.
Oh God, yeah.
And it sucks. And it's like, you're like, part of you is like, what am I learning from this? And you're like, you're not really
You're just putting
learning,
in
but you're putting in the work and you're showing the
passion
interest
that you want.
And then usually there's more than one person there. So when you're done doing that, you're like, okay, I'm going to follow this canine guy as he's doing his search. Oh, look at what the dog's doing. And you already know where they're going or where they're supposed to be going.
Yeah.
And
You're learning,
you can see that you can learn those things like the casting, and you can be like, oh shoot, I just saw it. He's on it.
And then you also learn the value in how much you need people to volunteer for your training. Because once you do the training and you're like, man, this sucks, and you do a lot, and then you get the spot and then you want to train and you're like, well, we don't have someone to catch, or we don't have role players.
Yeah.
And then you realize like how valuable it is to have them volunteer.
Yeah,
so if you could volunteer, people should be volunteering, because if you get the spot, you'll realize that really, especially canine, especially SWAT, you need people to volunteer to be the role players to really make it successful.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not always fun.
No.
Fuck no, dude. Especially, well, I mean, I can really contest the canine stuff. Like, not fun at all when you are hiding in a car in August and you're sweating your absolute ass off.
Yeah.
Thinking you're gonna die.
Or like I remember when I was doing it, I was working graves.
Yeah. So was
and I had to work that
day.
night.
Yeah.
That day I had to work. So you'd come in, they'd be like, oh, we're starting at 8, and you'd be like, okay, I'm not coming in at 8. Like, and they usually are like that. I'd be like, I'll be there at like 2.
Yeah.
And do like the later group. And they're like, oh, cool, someone's coming. Like, we're not going to be like, no, if you can't come for the whole day.
Oh yeah, they want you there.
They're cool about it. But you'd be sitting there, and that day you'd be tired.
Speaking of tired, dude, Mark's over here yawning. Like, are you good, dude?
You guys are boring me. No.
You need to pick me up or what?
Are you not entertained?
Yeah. Well, I remember going out and volunteering a ton on SWAT, and multiple guys would be shooting you from like 10 feet with 223 sims, and it fucking
does hurt.
Stung and burned and blister your skin. And you're just like, why the fuck are 4 guys shooting me? But then when you're on the other side, you're like, oh, that makes sense. Like, they're not abusing you to be jerks. Like,
I mean, sometimes they were.
well, sometimes, yeah.
I mean,
That's called hazing.
Yeah.
there's no such thing as hazing. It's not acceptable.
Yeah.
No, we don't condone that. Anyways, let's wrap this up. So we breezed over. I hope we didn't breeze too much over the report writing thing. I mean, I know we could
but
go on
it's simple.
forever,
It's
but
like write a good report.
Yeah,
Yeah,
don't
like,
shortchange.
be
Don't
descriptive.
short ass
Like,
it.
I think we segued into why you need to write a good report.
Yeah.
Shared some
Especially the back end.
Shared some courtroom testimony. You know, what would be kind of cool is if we got we'll get an attorney in here, share some stuff.
I'd be scared.
Why?
Oh, attorneys, they frighten me.
They frame me.
We'll get a defense attorney. Listen, I know a guy. He's a buddy of mine. I work with him. He's a detective, great detective. I believe his dad was a defense attorney. He was a defense attorney investigator, so he knows that side of it.
Let's get a real.
I think he'd be good to have on it because he could totally give like a different perspective.
Well, the general public just is not educated on law enforcement, and law enforcement has failed at that. They could do a better job. They could be integrated in schools.
I think that's part of what we're doing is
we are,
podcast, you know?
But schools in general should have officers. There should be classes on laws and what happens. Like that, I think that's a whole other segment.
It is, and I don't want to get into it. I'm just saying.
You're trying to.
We're going way.
No, I just think it would be cool to have a guest on to have that conversation with. But
Billy's yawning now.
Let's wrap it up. Listen, before we wrap it up, don't forget, you guys,
check out Girls Barbecue.
Head over to girlsbarbecue.com. Pick yourself up a rub. There's 4 different flavors that are fantastic. We use them. Several of our friends at work have purchased some, and they love them as well. Support a good cause. Girlsbarbecue.com. Get yourself some rub. Summertime, so it's perfect timing for it.
Yeah, it is.
I'd say we'll wrap this one up.
Fieldsurvival.com and
go check out our website, fieldsurvivaltraining.com. Yes, and hit up swatconference.org.
It's basically empty. Not a lot left.
Cheers to you guys, and we'll see you all in the next one.
Hey, 4-hour shot fired.
Copy additional shot fired.
Shot fired, shooting at us.
Suspect shooting an officer.